So I was watching this video, or I guess I should say video series, the other day on TikTok, and you know, a lot of people, I'm guessing, have probably seen it. It's gained quite a bit of traction. And I'm not here to debate whether it's true or false. It's very convincing in my opinion. But the video series, there's a woman named Queen something or other, I can't remember her last name, but she's given her testimony about being shown hell and being taken to hell and brought back. And she says all kinds of things about it, she names off some famous people that she's seen there, stuff like that. And while I don't believe she actually says this in the video, you kind of get a sense, or at least I did, even as a mature Christian, you tend to get the sense after watching this video, I felt like my faith had been shaken just a little bit. And you get the sense that, wait a minute, what if I have this all wrong? What if my salvation is dependent on every little action that I do, every sin that I commit? You know, what if my perfect living or lack thereof really does make a huge difference in my salvation? And like I said, I mean, I hate to admit it, but it shook my faith a little bit. Because for one, the enemy wants to lie to you. He wants to tell you these things, that your salvation does depend on your every little action. But really all the enemy's got to do is make you doubt yourself. Okay? Make you think you're not good enough. Whatever the case may be. I've made videos about that before. But all he's got to do is instill the smallest little bit of doubt until you start questioning everything. And the next thing you know, you've completely lost your faith. Or have you just misplaced it? So after watching this video series, and again, it sounds very convincing, maybe it's true, I was shaken up a little bit. So the first thing that I do is I run to the Father. In every situation like that, I run straight to the Father. And I was praying about it, and God reminded me. He said, just go read Romans 10. Just go read Romans 10. He said, read the whole chapter. So I'm going to read it to you right now, just to remind you who you are and whose you are. And another thing that the enemy, I'm going to throw this in here too, another thing that the enemy wants you to think is that once you've fallen and you got back up, that if you ever fall again, it's all over. That there's no coming back from it. Well, you know, I was an alcoholic and I started drinking again, so it's all over. I give up. There's no point now. That's a lie. That's a lie from the enemy. He wants to create that doubt in your mind. Read Romans 10 and run back to the Father. Romans 10, New Living Translation. Dear brothers and sisters, the longing of my heart and my prayer to God is for the people of Israel to be saved. I know what enthusiasm they have for God, but it is misdirected zeal. For they don't understand God's way of making people right with Himself. Refusing to accept God's way, they cling to their own way of getting right with God by trying to keep the law. For Christ has already accomplished the purpose for which the law was given. As a result, all who believe in Him are made right with God. Salvation is for everyone. For Moses writes that the law's way of making a person right with God requires obedience to all its commands. But faith's way of getting right with God says, don't say in your heart, who will go up to heaven to bring Christ down to earth? And don't say, who will go down to the place of the dead to bring Christ back to life again? In fact, it says, the message is very close at hand. It is on your lips and in your heart. And that message is the very message about faith that we preach. If you openly declare that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Amen. For it is by believing in your heart that you are made right with God, and it is by openly declaring your faith that you are saved. As the scriptures tell us, anyone who trusts in him will never be disgraced. Jew and Gentile are the same in this respect. They have the same Lord who gives generously to all who call on him. For everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. But how can they call on him to save them unless they believe in him? And how can they believe in him if they've never heard about him? And how can they hear about him unless someone tells them? And how will anyone go and tell them without being sent? That is why the scriptures say, how beautiful are the feet of the messengers who bring the good news. But not everyone welcomes the good news, for Isaiah the prophet said, Lord, who has believed our message? So faith comes from hearing, that is, hearing the good news about Christ. But I ask, have the people of Israel actually heard the message? Yes, they have. The message has gone throughout the earth, and all the words to all the world. But I ask, did the people of Israel really understand? Yes, they did. For even in the time of Moses, God said, I will rouse your jealousy through people who are not even a nation. I will provoke your anger through the foolish Gentiles. And later Isaiah spoke boldly for God, saying, I was found by people who were not looking for me. I showed myself to those who were not asking for me. But regarding Israel, God said, all day long I opened my arms to them, but they were disobedient and rebellious. Romans 10 reminds us who we are and whose we are. For if you confess with your mouth that Jesus Christ is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved.